Hi, I'm Stephen Lai. I thought I'd share some thoughts and insights around a question that's come in for a recommendation for a CRM specifically for managing deal sourcing and other considerations for that particular process, how to streamline that process. So rather than actually just share names of CRMs, which may not be particularly useful if you're not familiar in CRM land, I thought I pulled together a number of slides and with the questions to go with that, hopefully give a little bit more context. So this particular video is part of a series. It's actually video 7 of a 10-step process. But what I wanted to do is just to focus on the considerations, particularly for pipelines, as that is what you've actually requested. But in the grand scheme of things, it's actually one of the considerations of the 8 steps. So let's get into it. First of all, let's kick off with custom fields. What are custom fields? Well, custom fields are the fields that you might want to upload into, say, from a business card. So once you've got a business card and you're scanning that and now you're getting it into your system, you need to have a field for that to be that information to be held. An example might be a profile type. So a profile type might be an investor or an estate agent or a vendor or an architect. And why that's useful is instead of having to then go back to your dusty shoebox to find that business card, you can just ask your CRM to search for, say, estate agent located in a particular area in your maybe in your goldmine area such as London. So that way you can quickly see all of the profile types as a property investor or an estate agent in London. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's move on to custom layouts. Now, custom layouts tend to be the actual information that you're looking at on a frequent basis. So if you maybe use an example on your mobile phone, you'll probably have your apps in a particular way because you want to basically access those apps in the way that you want to see all of the shortcuts logically for you. So here in a CRM is exactly the same. You may want to hold your address field because that way you can identify very quickly what that property is. The other thing is most of us are visual. So if there is a visual representation such as a map, that would be particularly useful. So rather than having text, visuals are always good. And then that way you can see at a glance all the pertinent information, the frequent information you're looking at a high level. Now moving on to custom views. Now typically there are two types of custom views. There's a Kanban view and there's also a list view. So a Kanban view is totaling up all of the deals that may be currently in play in a particular stage. So for example, on the left hand side you'll see in analysis, these are the deals that you are analyzing in that particular stage. And then as you move across the stages, and the next one you'll see is view, those are all of the deals that are in the view section, and you'll have the pertinent information in each one of those opportunities in that Kanban view. Now the list view has more details because it actually has more headlines, and again you use them in depending upon the views that you want to see at a glance. Now reports, now this is kind of self-explanatory. If you are able to track, say for example, the number of viewings that you had last month versus this month, are you on track? Are you above target or are you behind target? Are you tracking at the offers that you've made? Again, if you're not tracking or you're not measuring, then you can't master that particular repetitive exercise. So obviously very useful. Then we go on to templates. Now there are all different types of templates. Now you might be using a lot of email templates, or you may not even be using templates at the moment. So what you may be doing is copy and pasting. But if you had an email template, what would be great is that that email template could then pull in the dynamic information, say from your first name or where you met a particular person, and that way it becomes a lot more personal. The same thing can be applied also to documents. So for example, if you are sending a proposal for say to a vendor, you could pull in all of that information and all of the calculations that you've made on your analyzer, so it makes it a lot more easy, a lot more dynamic, hence less doing copy and pasting but letting the CRM pull that information and do the hard work for you. Then we move on to pipelines, the main part of your question. So what is a pipeline? A pipeline is a workflow process broken into a number of stages, and each one of those stages there are a set of activities. So if you look at typically a lead sourcing pipeline, it may have the following stages. You may need to analyze the lead. If it stacks up, then you will view the lead, then you may make an offer to secure it. And once it's been secured, you might want to package it up, and then you may want to go and sell it. Now, each one of these are distinct stages, and each one of those stages will have a set of activities that you work through. And the idea of a pipeline is that you don't have any critical information that you've missed out. You just follow the pipelines. Now, automation, that's a real big one. Now, what automation is, in terms of CRM, how it can really help you is, if you imagine going from one stage to the next, as you move into the next stage, you're going to have a number of tasks which will be generated for you. Now, by working through your lead in the CRM, it means that you don't have to think about what the next tasks are going to be, because as you move it from one stage to the next, those tasks will be presented to you, and it doesn't have to just be for you, it could be you or a member of your team. So the idea, again, using automation to remove all of that repetitive tasks and so forth. Now, moving on, automation can also be applied for in terms of your emails and your PDF. So, for example, we touched upon when you make an offer letter, when you get to that certain stage, when you move it into the next stage, what it will then do is trigger an action where it will pull that information, put it into a template, create the PDF, and then email it out for you. So you don't have to do that repetitive process over and over again. Now, integrations. So these were the main sort of considerations on top of your main question. What are integrations? Well, integrations are, for a better word, all of the great maybe software that you're currently using that you can't live without. What you want it to do is to play nicely with your CRM, because your CRM is going to be the heart of your system within your business. So what might that look like? Well, it might kick off maybe with file storage, or with maybe your email client, whether your file storage is with Google Drive, or whether it's Dropbox, or whether it's your email is with G Suite or Outlook. You want to make sure all of this comes together very nicely. And in terms of the integrations, it's not just maybe around storage in emails. Things like Calendly. Calendly helps you basically find time in your calendar, as well as maybe the leads calendar or your investors calendar. Nice and easy. So cut out all of that time trying to find a suitable time going back and forth. Evernote, if you're doing lots of clippings on the web, it's got a wonderful web clipping a piece of functionality. You want to hold all of that in your CRM. And of course, if you're using email marketing, such as maybe MailChimp, does that connect nicely and play nicely within your CRM? And of course, things like document signing. Are you at the moment sending pieces of paper out, or maybe sending an email, and you're sending that email, that person has to then print it all out, sign it, or if you have DocuSign, it's going to make it a lot easier. And if it has direct integration, that's great. It means that the software can connect with your CRM really easily. And if it doesn't, you can use a piece of software called Zapier. Now, I'm hoping that's useful. It's giving you some food for thought, and how the other considerations besides pipelines might be useful in your selection of your CRM. I'm wishing you a super day.